Okay, when I bought this tractor, I had it plumbed for hydraulics in the front. I finally bought a Grapple bucket. So I had the regular bucket on it, which is over there, and grabbed this. The skid steer quick connect is awesome, and I just threw this on here temporarily. I went to Tractor Supply and I got the Pioneer fittings because this came with skid steer O-ring or flat face, whatever they call it, flat face couplers. I don't know quite what to do with the excess of this. I know there needs to be some slack in it, but I just don't need it dragging on the ground. I did a test run. I did a test run with it, and everything works. This is a cheaper Grapple. I've seen them on like the Ritchie Brothers auctions. There's a guy around here that bought a bunch of stuff from the Ritchie Brothers stuff. He has like the Chinese excavators and stuff like that, and the attachments. This was a used one of that. That guy advertised them for $1,550 or $1,600, something like that. Got this one for $1,000. Had to drive an hour, not so bad. Fittings were $34, and we're gonna put this to the test. Finally got an attachment in the front for the hydraulics. This is 60 inches. It's not super heavy. The tractor's rated to lift 1,800 pounds, so it does well with the bucket. It never struggles. So with the regular bucket, this is a little bit heavier than that, so I'm able to move logs and stuff with the forks. So this would be plenty strong and good enough to do what I do. This might break if you put it on a skid steer or a large skid steer. I'd probably put money on that, but it seems heavy duty enough. I'm not sure if that's half inch, but it's definitely at least 3/8. That's half inch. That looks a little bit thicker than that. That's probably in mil for being Chinese. At least I assume it's Chinese. And then these are my buttons I had plumbed in here. There's a whole front third function kit that was installed with the tractor. I don't know if anybody could identify what the Grapple bucket is, but the tractor was my first piece of equipment I ever bought. I do have some experience running this now and a little bit of mini excavator and stuff like that, but this is when I need to get stuff done around here. Got the service truck. This is what I put on it, these Pioneer connectors. This was what was on it. They take O-ring fitting here. I don't know if that's normal, but this is the flat face. This supposedly drips less hydraulic fluid and is less likely to get dirt in there and makes the connections easier. I've only ever connected these like one time, and they are super tight to get on. I don't know if that was just my luck, but from what I tell, these are hard to get on. Those are a little bit easier to get on, but they get dirty and they lose more fluid coming off. If I convert the machine to these, another pair of these would roughly be like $80 from what I've seen. This was 34, so I mean, I could always swap back and forth. It's just a couple wrenches. Okay, I was doing a quick test and I just wanted to load the dump trailer quick, and I pinched the lines. Well, I pinched one of them, the other one was a little damaged, so I changed them both. $200 later, get new lines. I have a little loop tied in it right now. It's the same size. I just didn't want it to not work on a skid steer if I just changed the ends. And it was running it, and it was leaking fluid again. It turns out this guy here on the T was loose, so I put an 18 on each side of it and just cranked it down. And now it's working again. So we had 2 leaks, both fixed, both probably caused by me. I'm not too mad about having to change the hoses. These were pretty dry rotted, the old ones. So, all right, let's go pinch something. Okay. That's about how much we have in there. This is a pretty large pile. It was wide. Started raking with the teeth and get some of the big stuff out of this. This needs to be leaf blowed, and there's some random bits in there, but it's the woods. Don't need to be perfect. I just want to get the big piles of stuff. We're gonna work on that one next. There's another one there, and then there's some other piles there. This was all pretty nasty in here. This was all, there's a couple of thin 4-inch trees that were just crap that didn't really have any branches on them. A lot of ivy, a lot of weed, a lot of bushes, some garbage in there. There's some wood in there, some chicken wire. I just threw it up against a tree, but there's some shards and then roots sticking up. But I raked that with the grapple, and it came out pretty good. This could almost use a hand rake and then some seed, but I'm gonna get some fill and smooth it out a little bit. I'm gonna plant a line of pines here, and then there's gonna be a dirt bike track that goes down and around down the edge of this property. A little pit bike SSR track, but I'm gonna try and deal with those, a little bit of stumps there, and then fill, and then some grass. But this opens it up a lot more to the edge of the property. I just don't know if you can tell, but this whole property's on a decent sized slope. I built the road over there to get in and out. There's another one over there, but that's all grass, so just going that way to keep it nice. I'm using this truck because it's 4-wheel drive. The dually's only 2-wheel. I don't want to take any chances of tearing this up anymore. But this new dump trailer's working out pretty decent. I'm just cutting a little path through there down to the bottom, but these two piles here existed, and I just added to them. But I'm just gonna pinch this up. I'm gonna go through with a little Milwaukee hacksaw, cut it up a little bit, the big stuff, and then just pinch it, throw it in. This stuff is all firewood stuff. I have a guy I give this stuff to. I'm not sorting it out too much. Like, some of that could probably go for firewood, but it is what it is. I got more trees coming down anyways. Same with this pile's gotta go. There's just a little bit left in that one, but 2-3 more loads out of here, and then that path comes through here. But 2-3 more loads of brush to go, and we'll be pretty cleaned up. And then I can start getting some fill and clear this up a little bit, try to make this all yard. Pretty much ended here. There was a fire pit here and some structure, and then debris. There's some like 2x4s from an old deck or something, but we're gonna fill this in. And then I go quite a ways down there, but if I fill that in a little bit more, it's more room for the track. I'm gonna try and go down, around, up the edge, and then down here, probably loop back and then loop again. But that's what I got so far. Okay, that's pretty much loaded up. I'm just gonna pat it down with the grapple, and then that's gonna go on the bottom of the next load, and probably the same over there. This will probably be half the trailer, probably another half out of that, and there's probably another one after that. So there's probably 2 more loads of just brush here, and then we got more trees coming down, but they could wait a little longer. I'm just happy to see this starting to get cleaned up. This was here, and I raked some of this out, and it's just crap and rotten. I'm just trying to get rid of all the places that critters could live. We got a lot of them here, and some of them are trying to make their way into my house. So anywhere they could live is getting cleaned up. There, inside the building, there's too many holes, but yeah. All right, 4-wheel drive. I was trying to do this like a week ago, but I needed this truck with the 4-wheel drive to get down here. I've sunk so much stuff down here this year with the rain. Want to risk it by not using the 4-wheel drive truck, but it broke on the last trip to the landfill, and I couldn't figure it out. I replaced the crank sensor, still nothing. It was a broken wire on the block, broken ground. But I made it home, and it died in front of the house. I had to push it in the driveway. But this is the road I made. This truck doesn't care about anything. It looks easy, but this truck does not care one bit about anything heavy or pushing anything heavy. It doesn't just like going down the highway though. That's why I got the 8.1 with the Allison. What I was saying was this truck will drag anything or push anything. On-road, off-road, uphill, doesn't matter. Just going down the highway. The 4L80E is a great transmission. It just doesn't have enough gears. So this thing's a screamer going on the road. I feel like I'm beating the ever-living crap out of it. So with the other truck with the Allison in there with the 5-speed, it's so much smoother. No stress on the truck. Never mind the power. But this thing pushes a 9-foot snowplow all winter. It'll do it uphill, doesn't matter. Any depth of snow, it just pushes it. This truck's also pulled a car trailer with an Isuzu Rodeo on it up a coal hill. This truck just does not stop. But we'll just swap trailer and truck. It's just that easy. Plus this one's got some issues still. I don't like to drive it too far. It's heavy. Truck is pretty much overweight, just sitting here. It's about 9,800 pounds or something like that, empty. So So this is loaded with the Grapple. I just gotta throw some bungee cords on the tarp, but I just wanted to show you this real quick. This is why the Grapple is so valuable to me. That's poison ivy. It's a little dead right now. The trailer's been loaded for a couple days, but every time I load this trailer, I end up with poison ivy. Last year I had it. It was like this thick on my arm. It was oozing for weeks. Pretty much had to get admitted to the hospital for that one. I should have been in like the burn ward. That's how bad it was. But it's healed, and you can hardly tell. But this is so much valuable not getting poison on my arms. So I'm gonna put the bungees on the back and go dump this. It's not strong enough to pull all that weight through there. There's still a lot of weight. I didn't cut nothing over there. I don't want to go into there with that caught up in there. It's still a little connected down there. And then seeing this stem and that broke one. This one was dead anyway, didn't have a leaf on it all year. I was meaning to take it out, but it snapped. But it's caught up there too, so. And then this backside lead is pretty well cooked as well. So I'm gonna start cutting with the pole saw. I'll film because it could get interesting. Okay, that's what I got so far. That one's kind of heavy. The tractor's starting to teeter-totter a little bit. But nice little log deck going on. There's some skinny stuff, some big stuff. I got a guy that's gonna come pick this up. I just load up his dump trailer and he can have it for free. The deal is take all. There's no picking. He knows that, and he doesn't care. He doesn't complain. He just shows up whenever I text him. So I don't burn no wood. I got more coming, so we're just gonna keep stacking it. That way, nearly as bad as we go. Second one off that fucking tree that almost came back to get me. So I moved the tractor way out of the way. I lowered the hook. We just need to move the bottom out. Just digging into the hillside. Okay, let's release some of it. Okay, let's take the cable off of that. That's in a position where it won't kill me.